What's up, my precious little pack, and welcome back to VEGA Conflict. So, the Dynasty event is a bit lackluster as always. They implemented more damage you can't avoid in the form of the Blitz garbage. And yes, it's not a Blitz Reaper, it's Blitz garbage, because it's not meant to be beaten by free-to-play players. It's meant for the pay-to-play, so that they can hit them, go back, repair the fleet, and go right back out. I have no interest in doing any of them. And I noticed the co-op bounty hunt. It's only for the co-op targets for the elite ancient outposts, and that is the largest load of garbage that you're ever gonna see. That is directly set up for coiners, because I can guarantee that most players that hit them, they're either gonna take massive repair time and log out immediately right after, or they're going to go back to the base, coin, and go right back out to continue stealing the stuff and getting the intel. So that isn't for any of us. As for the rest of the event, so far everything's actually been going smoothly since the 65s have become my main target to hit. I've only been taking about 3 hours per attack and triggering it actually fairly often. I've actually managed to get it down pat enough that I time it just right, and I take about 2 hours of repair time for doing 2 of them. So an hour apiece. But you're going to see what I mean about timing here in a second. I do apologize about what I'm going to be. I'm going to be very silent during this one for the good part while I'm focusing. But timing is everything, and this is how I've been timing it. Come on, fire. There you go. Entire barrage wasted, just like that. If I had cutters, I would rush that one a little bit more quickly, which is what I intend on doing. I intend on changing the fleet layout. Here's what's going to be. Carrier, 2 cruisers, 3 cutters. The first barrage goes out when the drones take out the first initial force, and the cutters go after the first one. The carrier and the cruisers go after the second one. Because right now I'm focusing on just getting them within range by using the carrier's support field. But that's literally it. Look at that, only 4% damage thus far. Come on, get him on the... There you go. Now you boys need to get everything off of him. The objective I'm doing is just focus on keeping the shields on your ships up. Just no matter what, make sure you're not taking direct hull damage. Because I noticed that every time I do that, I take less than an hour of repair time while I manage to keep the shields active on the ship. I already started buying stuff yesterday night. Well, earlier this morning. The bombardment torpedo level 1. Next I'm going after is the harmonic phase, the exophase shield level 1. Then I'm going to go after the twin fire beam level 1. Then I'll go after the harmonic beam capacitor level 3, and I'll call it good for that. And then after that I'll just focus on getting the ships. But the main goal is get tech for my ships first and weaponry before I do much of anything else. And I want to talk to you guys about something else. Kickstar's slowly been pushing the game away from free-to-play players for a long time. We've all known this. It's just a general fact at this point. But that doesn't mean that you have to put up with it. If you don't actually want to partake in the events or anything like that, but you still want to play the game and have fun with your friends, just stick with Tier 3 and the blueprint weapons that you unlock. And what I mean by that is these guys. Just stick with the low tier stuff for your repair times and gameplay and overall everything, because then you won't have to face any of this overpowered garbage as you step up. And you won't have to deal with the difference of power between a free player and a non-free player. But more or less just focus on whatever you want in the game. So say if you just don't want to partake in the major events because of how broken they are, and yes, they are broken when you have to step up, because making damage unavoidable instead of allowing us to use our brains was just a huge mistake. But in general, if you still play it right, you can still do, well, you can take a little less repair time, but not by much. You're still taking damage. But in general, the idea is, if you guys don't want to do anything major, but you want to play in PvP, don't bother getting any of the new garbage, especially not the Berserker Cruiser, because it's still going to have more repair time than a Tier 3 ship. And I can guarantee you're going to have more fun with the Tier 3 ship, beating up other Tier 3 ships, than you're going to have beating up each other with Tier 6 ships. Especially when you can actually use your brains and not gear everything. Or in the case of the Suppressor, strap a bunch of freaking cannons to it and then have it run away from the target and have it destroy the target, and the target never gets to fight back. But I just wanted to say that, and while I'm here, I'm also going to take a look at the shop, because I never did that. Okay, overpriced garbage, not a surprise. Overpriced everything in here isn't much of a surprise. Wow. Kixeye, you greedy pieces of nasty, nasty words. Featured. Not necessarily overpriced, but could be better. That shouldn't be in there. That should be in the opposite featured store with the rest of the stuff. I say that anything over $1 should be in the standard featured store because it's all overpriced. Anything over $1 is overpriced in my opinion. Right here, that's fine. I say that's fine. I say this is fine. I say everything up to here, everything that's under 100 coins is fine. Because that's the $1 mark. But when you start seeing everything over it, no. Unacceptable. And as for crafting, we've got battleship materials. And the vast majority of blueprints I have now are mostly complete. I have the vast majority of everything. Look at that. And I was right. I was looking at the cruisers and stuff like that. They have a much, much longer build time by up to 1 day over their Tier 6 and Tier 6.5 counterparts. So Tier 4 stuff, which has no chance against Tier 6 stuff, has a longer build time. Base build time. Whole build time.
Online.
But that aside, let's get right back out here. And something else, if anyone agrees that we should just play in the Tier 3 ships because most high tier stuff is just meant for high damage repairs and garbage like that, let me know, because I'd actually like to hear it. Because it is something that I want to see. And unlike other people where they set it up so there was no coin months, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to chop off their baseline. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hurt them by pointing out that they want high level players to play in their events. Okay, we don't have to partake in it. I don't count myself as a high level player even though my base is level 62 and blah blah blah, fleets, all of that garbage. I got in while the getting was good and they got rid of the getting, so getting up to what we're at from Tier 5.5 is, you're going to take a lot of damage as they slowly get away, and as they slowly do away from the normal fighting ships and stuff like that. There's not much you can do about it. Kixeye has just made mistake after mistake, but their biggest mistake is when they can't own up to, so it's hilarious. And for any of you asked, the biggest mistake is their bottom line is they want money more than they want players. And I, as a small YouTuber, I want views, so I try and do the most popular video the most often. It doesn't always happen though, because sometimes most popular video, in my opinion, is the worst video. I.e., doing VEGA conflict isn't the best for the channel, because it's not a long-term game, just because we all know it's going to die. And the way it's being run just makes it seem like it's going to die that much faster. And in general, the game, it needs to be overall, it needs to be rehauled, it needs to be improved completely. And what I'm referring to is the massive number of bugs in the game. And every single update, there's always something that seems to break, and then they fix it to a degree, but it's never always fixed completely. Because then another update will fix it and might break it in another way. And that's like the last thing you want as a game creator is for a broken game, because it just writes a bad name for your company. You know, you get blacklisted and stuff like that. And something that I think that Kicksai's development team doesn't seem to realize, they have a strong need for free-to-play players, because without us, as I said before, coiners won't have much of a reason to play the game because they won't have people to harass. And what happens when the big bullies have no one to harass? Well, they bully each other until that gets boring, because they can't bully each other, because they just go back to repair their stuff and they just keep going at it until they get bored. But also, there's going to be a few more videos on the channel. I'm going to do Starbound a bit more often and stuff like that. I'm going to do a little bit more with the creative games on the channel as well. But I think this video's gone on for a bit long enough, so if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And what are your general thoughts on what I've said throughout the course of the video? Do you agree with anything? Do you disagree? Say so below, but be constructive about what you say, please. And as always, I'll see you later. And before I go, the game may be broken, but as I said before, there is tiers we can play in. For us free players, I would say that the optimal tier would be tier 3. Tier 3 carrier, tier 2 carrier, tier 3 ships, tier 2 ships, just anything below that. Because it's all respectable build times, repair times, and stuff like that. Provided you set them up right and have fun. Games are always decided on their popularity by players, not by a company. The company can't say, our game is the best in the world, if it has the worst approval rating of the players, not the company. The company has no right to say, our game is the best in the world, blah, 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 this, that. And if it has an approval rating that falls through the floor, it has no right to say anything. VEGA Conflict is a game that it looked amazing to begin with, but fell rapidly. And by rapidly, I do mean rapidly. But before I go on anymore, I truly am going to leave it here, so I'll see you all later.